Tired of being alone on Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Want someone you can call your boo? Or maybe you're just looking for something casual like phantoms with benefits. Does the thought of a bed partner who doesn't steal all the covers excite you?
Yeah.
Then Spectrophilia might be right for you. Yes, this video really is about ghost sex, technically known as Spectrophilia, because, hey, why not? It's spooky season. You know, we've talked about ghosts, and we've talked about safety tools. So how many of you knew that this was even a real topic that real grown adults actually concern themselves with? I'm your host Aten here at We Love TTRPGs, and today we're talking about a subject you might integrate into your own horror-themed games, but also just because as a professional paranormal investigator, it's something so out of the ordinary, surrounded by a lot of misinformation, I'm hoping to set the record straight. And if you enjoy this video, be sure to check out my others, maybe subscribe. Remember, your subscription helps the algorithm know that my videos have value. Now first, let's clarify some definitions. The term spectrophilia in this video refers to sexual attraction to or sexual encounters with ghosts or apparitions. However, the term has been used in clinical psychology to describe arousal from seeing oneself in a mirror, which I imagine must be common among Instagram models. But we're not talking about that today, unless your mirror is also haunted. And spectrophilia should not be confused with necrophilia. Man, believe me, I was really hoping to avoid even saying that word, but yeah, spectrophilia is getting turned on by ghosts, while necrophilia is getting... And suddenly, spectrophilia doesn't seem quite so weird anymore, does it? As with many paranormal subjects, I like to treat this topic like an investigation, presenting both the claims and the skeptical perspectives. There's a lot here to giggle about, sure, but we also shouldn't completely diminish people's experiences, so long as they aren't hurting themselves or others. And as fetishes go, being turned on by ghosts probably isn't the worst thing out there. This isn't a new phenomenon. The idea of humans having sexual encounters with supernatural entities is ancient, found across cultures throughout history. Some believe these experiences are encounters with ghosts, our focus today, but others attribute them to demons. In Western demonology, you get the succubus, female form, and the incubus, male form. These encounters are typically non-consensual, with the demon feeding off your life force, soul, or other fluids. I previously touched on this topic, no pun intended, in my video about succubus. Though this relationship between the two is complicated and imperfect, now, sexual attraction to ghosts is one thing, but if we're talking about actual sexual encounters, the question is, are these experiences real or imagined? Well, they certainly feel real to the people who have them. And as we often say, perception is reality. So if your brain experiences something vividly enough, it becomes real to you, regardless of objective truth. So where you come down on this depends on your worldview. Do you believe ghosts exist? And if so, are they really just hanging around waiting for you to be naked so they can cop a feel? But if they're ghosts and they can phase through walls, wouldn't clothes be irrelevant anyway? Also, if these encounters are real, is this consensual or is it SA, spiritual assault? That too might be a matter of perspective. If you believe your encounter is with a friendly spirit and you're a willing participant, then hey, go for it. No harm done, I guess. But if you believe you've been violated by a demonic force feeding on your energy against your will, well, that's a very different kind of experience. The 1984 Ghostbusters movie included a dream sequence where Dan Aykroyd's character received what the internet now refers to as a boo job. In 1990, Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore gave us a more romantic take on the idea, though a little heavy on the pottery. In 1995, Casper gave Christina Ricci a PG-rated ghost kiss. Scary Movie 2 from 2001 featured a more graphic scene that honestly seemed like Ghost R played for laughs. It's uncomfortable. Those are just a few of the many pop culture references. Now let's look at some real-world claims. In 1974, Doris Bither of Culver City, California, contacted parapsychologist Barry Taff about being attacked and possibly AR'd by invisible entities in her home. The Bither case became the basis for the 1978 book The Entity, which was later adapted into a 1982 film starring Barbara Hershey. However, decades of skeptical investigation have cast serious doubt on her account. The photographic evidence has been attributed to film processing errors, and many experts consider the case a mix of trauma, poor methodology, and confirmation bias. In 1999, actress Lucy Liu claimed she climaxed during a nap after being visited by a ghost. She said it wasn't a dream, it felt real. In 2004, a troubled Anna Nicole Smith told FHM magazine a ghost would crawl up her leg and have sex with her at an apartment a long time ago in Texas. She said it happened nightly and insisted it wasn't a dream. In 2012, Kesha shared her own ghost sex experience on Ryan Seacrest's radio show. I had a couple of experiences with the supernatural. I don't know his name. He was a ghost. I'm very open to it, she said. Her song Supernatural is widely believed to be about that experience. Also in 2012, the Travel Channel aired Ghostly Lovers, a supposed documentary exploring the topic and featuring interviews with self-identified spectrophiles. And then there's Patti Negri, a reoccurring guest on Zach Bagans' Ghost Adventures. Patti is a self-described witch who continues to promote ghost sex workshops, books, and interviews as of 2025. In 2014, she amplified Natasha Blasic's claim of being visited by a ghost lover and has since positioned herself as the foremost expert on ghost sex. However, many viewers and critics, myself among them, have accused her of sensationalism and undermining critical thinking by framing hallucinations or trauma as paranormal phenomenon. I personally believe she and those like her are grifters who prey on the trauma of others. In my opinion, she's either a liar who is taking advantage of vulnerable people, or she's truly ignorant of the science and objective facts regarding sleep paralysis. I don't believe her backwards snake oil should be amplified and allowed to cause emotional distress. Now, many questions remain. If you have a ghostly lover, an immortal one, do you need to disclose that? If not, is it cheating? Do ghosts have sexual preferences? Are they non-binary? Do they retain gender identity upon death? What if you fall in love with your ghost? Well, in 2018, Amanda Teague, who stated she was of sound mind, made headlines for marrying a 300-year-old Haitian ghost pirate named Jack the Lad. They dated first, of course, very traditional, but sadly, the relationship ended in what she described as a divorce exorcism, after Jack allegedly tried to kill her and feed on her energy. Turns out, Jack wasn't just a ghost pirate, he was also an energy vampire. Ooh. And then in 2018, British spiritual counselor, yes, that's a real title someone gave themselves, Amethyst Realm, and yes, that's her name, claimed to have had sex with over 20 ghosts. She was even engaged to a poltergeist and talked about having a ghost child. Then there's Amanda Liberty from Leeds, who made headlines between 2017 and 2019 for her romantic attachment to a 90-year-old chandelier she named Lumiere. Though she proposed and exchanged rings, it was not a legal marriage, and after 2019, the story faded from public view. As of 2025, there's no evidence that she and Lumiere are still together. Now, before we start judging, remember these individuals truly seem to believe what they're saying, and this is another reason why it is so important to focus on mental health. As a paranormal investigator, our job isn't to prove something is a ghost. Our job is to disprove it. We must seek the scientific explanation for the alleged haunting. That's because on the very, very, very long list of things an alleged haunting might be, can you guess where ghost is on that list? At the absolute very, very bottom. It is dead last. Yep. Pun. So with everything I've already shared, you might be thinking of ways to introduce this into your own games. An important NPC might be in love with a ghost, and in our fantasy tabletop games, this can be as real as you want it to be. However, here on planet Earth, what is really happening? Are these people actually being visited by spirits? Are they being seduced by demons? Or is there a more grounded explanation, one possibly rooted in sleep paralysis? Sleep paralysis is a type of parasomnia, meaning unusual behavior during sleep. Because it occurs during the REM phase, it is categorized as a REM parasomnia. You can experience a single episode or multiple in one night. It's most common when sleeping on your back, but it can happen in any position. Sleep paralysis is a global phenomenon described across history, and scientists believe it explains many reports of ghosts, aliens, demons, and shadow people. The sensations, pressure on the chest, difficulty breathing, inability to move, overwhelming fear, are all hallmarks of sleep paralysis. paralysis. Hallucinations during this state can feel completely real. And even in 2025, sleep paralysis is still not fully understood. What we do know is that stress, trauma, anxiety, and irregular sleep patterns are major triggers. This may explain why so many people report ghost sex encounters during times of emotional or psychological strain. So in the end, you have to ask yourself, do you prefer the scientific explanation, or are you more comfortable with a supernatural one? Sleep paralysis is a fascinating and still poorly understood phenomenon, even among sleep specialists. Throughout history, it's been the root of countless myths, from night hags and succubi to shadow people and ghostly assaults. Cultures around the globe have given it names like ghost pressing on the body in Chinese, and in many communities, these episodes are interpreted as supernatural encounters. But what we now understand is that these terrifying experiences, being paralyzed in bed, feeling a heavy presence, seeing a shadowy figure, are actually the result of REM atonia, the natural paralysis that keeps us from acting out our dreams. While common in childhood, frequent episodes of sleep paralysis in adulthood are often linked to stress, trauma, anxiety, or disrupted sleep. This connection was tragically illustrated among the Hmong people in the 1980s, where a string of unexpected sleep-related deaths contributed to widespread fear and helped inspire A Nightmare on Elm Street. For many of these men, fleeing war, adjusting to a new country, and carrying deep psychological scars, these hallucinations felt devastatingly real and literally killed them. A true warning to us all about the dangers of stress. If you've experienced something like this, you're not crazy, you're not cursed, and you're certainly not alone. You're experiencing something millions have felt throughout human history, and with the right knowledge, it can be managed. To be clear, I'm not here to tell you what to believe, I'm not here to say what's real for you, and I'm not judging your beliefs. If I'm critical of anything, it's the so-called experts who feed on fear and superstition instead of helping people understand what's really happening. 1,000 years ago, those were the only explanations we had, but today, we know better. That said, if you're ever visited by Anna and Nicole Smith's ghost, please be sure to report back. It doesn't matter what tabletop game you're playing, the knowledge you've learned here could be useful as a creative launch point, but please use this information cautiously and respectfully. I really don't want to hear about any, ricky ghosts. Understood? Thank you so much for watching. I'm your host and friend, Aten, here at We Love TTRPGs. Hit the buttons down below. You know the ones. Thank you very much.